So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our 3 planetary conjunction video. And this week we're going to be covering the meaning of the conjunction of Sun, Moon, and Saturn. And what happens when you have Sun, Moon, and Saturn conjunct in your horoscope quite close. Now, this is not a conjunction where your Saturn is far away and Sun, Moon are close. It may not be a real conjunction. Because as you know, a zodiac sign is like 30 degrees long. So you may have Sun, Moon between first 5 or 7 degrees, and then Saturn is at 28 degrees. That is far. That is not really affecting the Sun and Moon as much. It is affecting, it's still in that same house, but it's not as strong. So the meaning of the conjunction that I will give you here today simply means that these 3 planets are very closely conjunct, within 10 degrees of each other. Now, as always, if you do not know, if you have this planetary conjunction, how far they are, what degrees they are at, including other conjunctions that I might cover in the future for 3 planetary conjunctions. For that, check out the links here, not there. Check out the links here and check out my full astrological report, including my book, Astrology, Conjunction, and Aspects of the Speed of Light, where in my conjunction book, you'll actually get a meaning of this and more conjunctions way in advance, and you're going to learn how exactly a conjunction is studied. It's not just a simple game of learning the meaning. It's goes a lot more than just this meaning. So you learn that, and this will kind of like, the book will kind of shows you the funneling effect of the conjunction. How do you funnel the meaning? So anyway, what is Sun? Well, Sun in astrology represents a part of your personality, your soul, your ego, your self-esteem. Sun represents authorities and your fatherly figure in your life. Sun represents your enthusiasm, where your enthusiasm goes. It represents government, dealing with the government, how you're dealing with the government is. And then, Moon in your horoscope represents the mother, the motherly figure, the emotions, the nourishment within you, your ability to feel emotional, your feelings. Moon represents all the liquidy products, from water to, tears and anything, pretty much water, liquidy substances are Moon. And also Moon is your mind, the way you think. Because the way you think inside is the way you create everything around you. So it becomes very important. Then what is Saturn? Saturn represents many, 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 many things. First and foremost, it represents our limitation. Because we're limited by certain things in this life. So it represents our boundaries. That the boundaries that we have to operate in this life. It represents our discipline, our organization skills, our ability to structure things. It's our patience, because Saturn tests your patience all the time. Saturn in relationships represents your uncle. Saturn represents things that take too long to form, that are cold and dark. So things like gems, oil, petroleum, minerals, ice. All of these things are represented by Saturn. Iron, coal, steel. So these are the things that Saturn represents. Saturn represents our ability to, or pretty much our work ethics. Our ability to achieve a goal per our work ethics. That's what Saturn is. Saturn represents our conservative outlook. How conservative are you? Are you not conservative? Are you conservative? Saturn represents that. Saturn represents maturity, old age, wisdom. So when these 3 planets come together, and assuming that they are closely conjunct in your horoscope, the foremost basic meaning is that you will have very conservative parents. Your parents might have had you quite late in their life. Meaning, influence of Saturn upon your Sun and Moon shows that your parents are very old and wise, mature, kind of like, with old thought of view, conservative viewpoint in life. Yet they're very hardworking people. They love working hard. They love to do manual work. You will find your mom may have a green thumb in the backyard. Your dad may want to do some carpenting, do some manual type labor. They are like service people. They're the dedicated people who love to give their service to other people, who like to work under a government, under an administration, under a corporation. And what happens is, contrary to all these good qualities, this can frustrate a person. This may actually frustrate you, because what happens is your parents are your guiding light. They are your teachers. So sure, they instill a lot of conservative values in you, hardworking values in you, which is always good. But the thing is, they kind of discipline you through those things. Mother and father will be disciplinarian in your life. You're the kind of boy who does one little mistake, and you're grounded for a week. One little mistake, you're being sent to military school. Within the home, you live by all these rules and regulations. What time you can get up, what time you can sleep, what time you can eat, what time you should study, what time you should watch TV. It becomes a boundary, like there's this narrow boundary around you. And you have to either go here, a little bit here, a little bit here. You can't just expand. And that's where there could be frustration built up later on in life due to this conjunction, where you will suddenly one day burst. Like, I have had enough. I'm done with your shenanigans. I'm done with your stupid rules and regulations. I'm out of here. But now, what kind of a child will actually follow through with the learning and the educational value that your parents may have instilled in you? Well, that's when you look at the sign. What kind of a jacket or a coat Sun and Moon and Saturn are wearing? Is it comfortable? Because remember, Saturn is very important here. It probably becomes more important than Sun. Saturn actually has Sun in his boundaries. If you look at this very old original Greek chart, God, I can't even talk. Very old Greek chart, or Western astrology actually map of the solar system, you will see that there's first is Saturn, and then there's this long ring of Saturn, not like a regular circular ring. It's a long oval ring, and all the planets are within that ring, including the Sun. This is why in Vedic astrology, Saturn becomes this limit, the last planet that we always look at. We don't usually study Uranus and Pluto, or Uranus and Neptune. Forget even Pluto. So this is why Saturn becomes very important, and his sign placement will influence the entire conjunction. So if Saturn is in Aries, what do you think will happen? Saturn is debilitated in Aries, especially if Saturn is between 17 to 22, 23 degrees. Yeah, it can bring definitely a harsh disciplinarian childhood, probably an abusive childhood. If Saturn is in Libra, around the same degrees, you will enjoy the lessons you've learned from your parents. You will respect those lessons. You will value those lessons. You will cherish those lessons. And you'll feel like, wow, my parents worked hard. Now, your parents might work hard even when Saturn in Aries, but your perspective towards them will be different. You know how they say, I've worked so hard for you and you did this, you cut my nose in society, and you're like, no, you made my life a living hell. There will be this contradiction. From his perspective, he worked hard. From your perspective, he worked hard, but he literally did it in a negative way. That's what Saturn, Sun, and Moon conjunction does. Now, this also influences your personality in a big way, because Moon, Saturn are very important planets regarding who you are as a person, what you think inside. So what happens with this person growing up with this conjunction, they doubt themselves a lot. They criticize themselves a lot. They feel very limited with their thinking. Like, it's not like that Steve Jobs like thinking on LSD and just like thinking about iPad back in the 80s. No, this would be the person, well, maybe I should just go for government service. I'll be okay with a weekly paycheck. That's okay. Even though the chart might have a lot of potential for them to just go out and make millions of dollars and live their dream. But the thing is this karmic conjunction that may keep them limited depending upon the sign placement of these planets. Forget even nakshatra, just the sign placement can affect it a lot. If let's say these 3 planets are in a Kapha sign, there's 3 qualities of signs, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. In Kapha, this can make a person quite lethargic, quite lazy. They may not feel like, they will be very slow in their thinking, in their ability to communicate, their ability to do things. They'll just be very like lumpy kind of a person. And remember though, the planet that holds the lowest degree has the strongest say in the conjunction. If you watch my 2 planetary conjunction or if you read the book. So what happens when these 3 planets hold the lowest conjunction or hold the lowest degree in the conjunction? So let's say if in this conjunction, Sun holds the lowest degrees, what happens is that obviously you'll be influenced by your father a lot in your development of personality, your ego. And at the same time, your ego and your father somehow will find a way to have a cordial relationship. Like you'll somehow always find a way to find a solution with your father. Even if it's in Aries, what happens is there will be things happening in a negative way. Yet somehow, somewhere, those people, look, yeah, I know my father screwed up. I know they screwed up on their thing, but you know what? I try to make the relationship a little bit better. That will be an emphasis upon this conjunction then. Because father is holding the neve, the foundation of this conjunction. So with the authoritative figures, with your father, you're always going to be working things out. You're always going to be wanting to have a cordial relationship with them as much as, Saturn might be giving its effect upon the conjunction. Just because Sun is holding the lowest degree doesn't mean that you're spared from it. It's just that you are able to find far better solution through the Sun than anything else. If let's say Moon controls the lowest degrees, your emotions and your feelings will always be, first of all, very tough. And you will not let your mother or father kind of destroy your mental strength. You will somehow be able to be like, maybe they're wrong and maybe I am wrong, but you know what? I'm not going to let them hurt my feelings about what they're saying. And then what happens is this person would always try to work things out with the mother. No matter how harsh the mother is, how bad the mother is, they will always end up saying in the conversation, you know what? Yeah, my she screwed up. She was never there for me, but you know what? She's still a mother and I'm just trying to work things out for my kids and, I'm still there for her if she needs me. They will somehow always try to do that. But with the father, it'll be like, yeah, I don't really talk to my father much because father might be now closer to Saturn because it's in the middle. Now, let's say if Saturn holds the lowest degrees. Saturn is holding the lowest degree and then Sun and Moon are on top of it. Now, that's where you will find that this person has a hard time finding a resolution with their parents. If parents screwed up. And here Saturn, what it shows that their discipline, their organization, and their ability to work towards something, their work ethics, will always overcome their parents' negative raise upon them, or like their parents' criticism will not stop this person from achieving their goals. This is probably what you want to have in this conjunction. You would rather have Saturn holding the lowest degrees because Saturn is flaming Sun and Moon, and Sun and Moon are now becoming your mother and father is becoming more critical of you. They're putting more discipline on you, more regulations on you, more rules on you. Yet you're this kind of person who's like stays put, like I'm my own person, and I am going to fight through the storm. Once I'm 18, I'm going to leave. And if you notice with this conjunction, a person usually leaves the house at an early age. Now, it hasn't been tested if Saturn has to hold the lowest degrees, but I've seen quite a few times where just this conjunction itself, a person will be like, no, I need to leave the home early on in my time and just be my own independent person. Because the thing is, they're just eager to break the boundaries. So Saturn becomes positive. Saturn makes a person very independent in this case. Because it's like they're stuck in jail from the moment they're born. And especially when they're like, oh, I'm 18, I can actually expand my wings. Boom. They burst and they just leave. Like, that's it, I'm done. I'm done with your rules and regulation. So if your child has this conjunction, please try not to make their life a living hell with your rules and regulation. Let them be a kid. Let them be, the boy and the girl that they want to be sometimes. Yet I know with their conjunction, you will be like, oh God, I'm not going to listen to him. I know my principles, I know my policies, and I'm going to teach my child the way it needs to be done. Who is this guy on YouTube telling me how to raise my kid? And that's the karmic thing. You will end up raising them the way Saturn, Moon, and Sun wants you to raise them. All right, guys, so this was my analysis of Sun, Moon, and Saturn conjunction. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And again, if you want to know where your Moon and Sun and Saturn are placed, what planetary conjunctions you have, all my books and reports and consultations for that, check out the links here and check out my website. Otherwise, we'll see you in the middle of the week with the Venus aspect. Bye-bye.